Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Tenten falls in love with Naruto, part 1. Subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. One day in Konoha, Naruto was walking down the street like usual. Man, it's so boring here, he said. With everyone being on missions, why am I the only one still here, he asked himself. While talking to himself, he was snapped out of his daze at the sound of a monstrous noise. I guess it's time to go to Ichiraku and get some of that oh so delicious ramen, he said as he jumped on the rooftops and quickly headed to his favorite eating spot. After 30 minutes of walking, Naruto had arrived at Ichiraku Ramen only to find that the shop was closed due to a shortage of supplies. No, he yelled at the top of his lungs, attracting attention from the villagers who wondered what all the fuss was about. Why are they closed on the day that I am even hungrier than Choji, he wondered. As he walked away he noticed out of the corner of his eye a certain kunoichi with a very large scroll on her back. He had also noticed her hair was woven into two round balls shaped like onigiri. Without a second thought he knew who the person was without missing a beat and called out to her. Hey Tenten, he hollered at the top of his voice to get her to turn around. She turned around to see the blonde future running up to her at full speed. She had blushed heavily knowing the embarrassment that would come if he saw her blushing. She turned around and started to run away from him. Oh no, if he sees me like this, I don't know what will happen to me, she said as she ran away to get as far away from him as possible. Seeing her run from him only made the blonde more ambitious about catching up to her. He ran after her with his pride as a ninja on the line. All across the village he ran after her and she avoided him using whatever weapons or traps to throw him off, but to no avail. Man, he is persistent today, why can't I outrun him? She wondered, trying not to let the boy of her desire see the intense blushes she had on her face. After an hour of sheer running, Tenten started to slow up from exhaustion. She hid behind a tree in the training grounds. Please don't find me, please don't find me, please don't find me, she thought as she saw him arrive at the grounds. She hid well, but when she turned around she noticed the blonde right next to her breathing very hard. She turned to see a shadow clone he had placed well into the run to confuse her. Finally, he said, gasping for air. Finally caught you, he said in one loud breath. She felt his breath on her face, and if not for the running her cheeks would have been blushing much harder. Hey Naruto, how are you doing? She said, trying to turn her head away from him. He had noticed her action and sat down next to her. Nothing, everything is good, he had said, though a question popped into his head. Why did you run away from me though? He asked, causing Tenten to blush much more and nearly faint. He placed his hand on her head, feeling concerned. Hey, are you alright? You look a little red, he said, making the brunette look him in the eye with a feeling of seriousness. She had kept her feelings for him hidden and thought she could just ignore them. She looked at his physique and blushed more, seeing his well-toned body and the muscles on his arms, knowing about his training with everyone's absence. She had noticed these feelings after the exams took place. She stared in awe as she watched Naruto beat the second best genin in the leaf, Niji. Trying to pass off the feelings as simple admiration, she tried to forget it, but his exploits and missions had made the old feelings resurface as she had come to know how much she loved him. Seeing her in a daze, Naruto decided to snap her out of her thinking. Hello, Earth to Tenten, are you still with us? He said, making her snap out of her daze. Oh sorry Naruto, I was in some deep thought, she answered, trying to call her heart as it was about to come out of her chest. That's okay, just wanted to make sure you were okay, he said as he had noticed something different about her. He noticed she looked more beautiful in her ninja outfit. His heart went racing at the thought of her being so cute that he hadn't noticed it before. Man, I never realized how hot she actually is, he said, thinking to himself. As far as he had known, she was a good friend and a great comrade. She was one of his precious friends, but seeing her had made him turn her into something different, something more, something he wanted to have, to hold on to share his worries and joys with, to protect with his very life. Seeing her there sitting on the tree in the cool breeze made him say the last thing that neither he nor she could have seen coming. You are so beautiful, Tenten, he said with his voice low and appealing. She was almost shocked at his statement, thinking it was a dream that she didn't want to wake up from. She felt her heart and cheeks blush and beat so much that she thought he was hearing them. She knew she wanted to be with him. She wanted to know everything about him and tell him everything about her, to be his forever and ever, to know how much love she had kept in her heart for him. With a blushing face she turned to him. Do you really think so? She asked, uncertain of his answer. Yes you are, I have wanted you in my arms, never leaving my side, he said, sending tears down her face. These tears were the tears of a miracle or hope that she thought was impossible to obtain. Turning to him with tears still down her eyes. I love you, Naruto-kun, with all my heart, she said next to him, unable to contain the urge to hide her face. Seeing her cover her face, he moved closer to her, touching her hands and removed them, showing her face. With her face exposed, he moved closer to her, staring into her eyes that seemed to set his heart ablaze. She looked into his blue as the sky, eyes with tears in her eyes and a blush as red as a rose. His lips moved closer to hers as they stared at each other. She felt something incredible on her lips, something she had wanted for a very long time, to have his lips on hers as he swung his arms around her, holding her tightly in his arms. She felt the strong embrace of his lips and his arms on her as she put her hands on his face, keeping them both together. His tongue had moved into her mouth as it found its way to its partner. Sharing a greeting, they interacted with each other, keeping each other company. They both drew apart for air, leaving their mouths to say a temporary goodbye to each other. He faced her with a wide grin that she knew all too well. She knew what was coming, but still wanted to hear his words. "I love you too, Ten-chan, I will not let you go, for you are my most precious person," he said, causing her to melt in his arms. She had waited her whole life to hear those words. Now she turned to him with her eyes traced by his cerulean eyes. "Naruto-kun, she was cut off by him with a finger to her mouth." He turned to her with the question of a lifetime. "Ten-chan, will you be my girlfriend and go out with me?" he asked, causing her to place her hands over her mouth with a gasp, and answered with tears in her eyes again. "Yes, Naruto-kun, I will be your girlfriend, I love you so much," she said, staring at him. He placed his hands on hers and stood up with her. He answered with a happy and calm smile. "I love you so much, Ten-chan, my heart is yours to take," he said. He continued with his next question to her as she started wondering what this question was. "Ten-chan, I have saved up a lot of money from my payment on a mission. I would like to treat you to a fancy restaurant in Konoha as our first date, may I?" he asked. Seeing the look in his eyes, Tenten knew that he was a keeper and he was hers. She answered with a wide smile that lit up his day. "Yes, of course, Naruto-kun, when will we go?" she asked. "Tomorrow night," he responded. "Alright, my love, I will go home and check for a proper dress," she said as she left him with a thrill of excitement in her voice. "Alright, my hun, I will go and get my suit also," he answered. Turning away to go home, he turned around and ran after her. She was shocked to be turned around and have her lips placed back onto his lips in deep affection. After the deep kiss, he whispered in her ear. "See you tomorrow, Konoha," he said, causing her to drop to the ground as he left. Out of her daze, she had answered. "See you tomorrow, Kibito," she said as she got up and left. Tomorrow will be most exciting. Going back to his house, a certain blonde was thinking about what to wear for a certain brunette Kunoichi and their date. He knew that today he was going to make her happy with what he had planned at night for them. He had set the date for 10 p.m, he wondered what she would be wearing for their date as he came up to his house. "Finally home," he said, putting away all of his ninja tools and scrolls with a grin on his face. Ever since yesterday, he could not get Tenten out of his mind. He felt how lucky he was to have such a woman all to himself, to hold her in his arms, to kiss the soft lips she had, to know that she had returned the same affection for him as he did her. He went to his closet looking for a suit when after all the searching couldn't find one that would feel great to wear. "Man, what am I going to do? Our date is in 4 hours and I don't have a good suit to wear," he said, pacing the floor. He wanted this first date to go well for them both. He checked his wallet and counted how much money he was able to muster up. "Let's see, 1 2 3 2,000 yen," he said to himself. He knew what he had to do for his date. He would be nearly empty for this stunt, but for her no price was too expensive. He closed the closet door, put on his orange jumpsuit and ran out the door. Jumping from rooftop to rooftop, he was attempting to go to the shop to buy a black leather suit for his date. After 45 minutes of running, he appeared before the shop and went in. "Hello, is anybody here?" he asked, waiting for a reply. After 5 minutes, an old man appeared out of the back room and walked towards the enthusiastic blonde genin. "Hello sir, how may I help you on this fine day?" the old man asked. Naruto looked around the store at the many different suits they had on clearance. He turned to the old man. "Hello sir, I am here to buy a suit for my date with my girlfriend," said the blonde genin. The old man was surprised and happy that the youth of the village could still find love in a world of chaos. "Oh my sir, please let me show you around my fabulous shop," said the old man. He took Naruto around the shop, showing him the different types of suits that would be perfect for a date. Naruto was pressured into seeing all of them. He knew though that none of these suits was a good match for him. He turned to see a leather suit with a complete white shirt and black tie and black pants in his size. He stared in wonder at the suit. He wondered how much it had cost. "Excuse me sir, but how much is this suit for?" Naruto asked, pointing at the leather suit. The old man lifted his head from the suit. Clearly the blonde had good fashion sense to choose their most expensive suit. This suit was brand new to the shop and had the perfect feeling of elegance that the blonde wanted. "Why sir, you have good taste, this suit cost around 7,000 yen," the old man said. Naruto's jaw dropped to the ground. He didn't have that kind of money on him right now. He knew he was running out of time and looked at his watch. He had exactly 2 hours left until his date with his brunette Kunoichi. Sensing the boy's depression, the old man had taken pity on him and offered a suggestion. "Sir, if I may say, I can tell that you want this date to go well, do you not?" asked the old man. Naruto nodded, trying to see where the old man was going with his statement. "Sir, because you seem to understand the importance here, I will give you the suit for 1,000 yen," said the old man. Naruto nearly fainted. He couldn't believe that this old man could be so generous to him for his date. He knew with the old price the date would not have gone very well as he would have liked. "Old man, would you really give me this suit for such a cheap price?" asked Naruto, looking like it was too good to be true. The old man turned to him with a happy grin on his face. "Maybe it's my age, or maybe I am a sucker for love," laughed the old man. Naruto accepted the offer with full thanks for the suit. The owner took the suit and packaged it. He gave it to Naruto, who had the biggest grin of appreciation for the old man. As Naruto Pai here ran out the shop with a smiling old man at the register. "Have a very good date," the young man said to the old man. Naruto was moving at high speed to get home and get changed for his date. Having been serious for his date, he managed to get home in 25 minutes. He took off his jumpsuit and regular clothes and changed into his new suit. As he put it on, he felt the leather on his skin as it shimmered down to his legs. "I have never felt such good leather in my life," said the future with a big grin. Having put the finishing touches on his suit, adding cufflinks to his white shirt and putting on his black shoes, he raced out the door. He looked at his watch and realized he had 17 minutes to get to the restaurant. "Man, I have to make it. I just have to make it," he said in the hurry of his life. He appeared at the restaurant with a bouquet of roses for Tenten. After 11 minutes he was getting worried that she hadn't gotten to the restaurant yet. After 30 minutes he was about to give up and go home. I guess this was to be expected. Tenten wouldn't want to date a demon like me," he said with a hint of sadness in his voice. Then out of the corner of his eye he saw a girl in a white dress with a flower design on it. It was as white as snow and came down to the girl's knees. Her hair had the same round balls, as always. His expression had changed from one of sadness to one of extreme joy and happiness. "Ten-chan, over here," he yelled over to her. She noticed the blonde genin in the most fabulous leather suit that she had ever seen. She wondered if this was the same blonde genin she had fallen in love with yesterday. Seeing the whiskers on his cheek, she knew he was the man from yesterday, the man of her dreams, Naruto Uzumaki. "And then Naruto-kun, what happened to you?" she asked with a big grin and blushed at the sight of the suit hugging his body, showing off how well toned it was. Tenten stared at him with a look of sheer desire and awe. She knew he was hers and that the lovely guy in that suit was the man of her dreams. "Naruto-kun, sorry for being late for my dress, to find it longer than I had hoped," she said to him. Knowing he couldn't be mad at her no matter the reason, mainly because he was worried about his time too. "It's okay, Ten-chan, you don't have to apologize," he said with words of comfort. He was just happy that she had not ditched him because of him being called a demon. He had trusted his heart to her, and here's to him. They both knew they would be together and that the other looked pretty damn fine. Her dress sent his heart to a world of peace that he didn't know existed. Seeing her with that dress made his love for her unbearable. "Ten-chan," he said, leaning his lips closer to hers as they came into a deep embrace in front of the restaurant. They both didn't know, but they were attracting a rather large crowd of people, citizens and ninja alike. Everyone was awing and oohing at them with great intensity. Separating from each other for air, they witnessed the crowd of people and blushed, thinking that they had been seen. Not wanting to wait another second, they went into the restaurant to begin their date. As they seated, they had discussed their daily lives and future dreams. Both realized they had much more in common than they thought. Tenten found out that Naruto was also a big weapons fan and had a massive collection, even though he didn't brag about it. Naruto, on the other hand, had learned that Tenten also liked the ramen at Ichiraku. Tenten had wondered about the restaurant. "Hey Naruto-kun, how did you manage to get into such a fancy place?" she wondered. With a smile on his face, he told the story of how the owner had made a mission request for food supplies from the adjacent villages. He explains how he was chosen by the Godam for the mission. After he had secured the necessary supplies for the owner, he returned and the owner allowed him 5 visits to his restaurant, with all the food being at half price. Tenten was shocked to learn this. Her boyfriend had gotten her into one of the most expensive restaurants in Konoha. She realized she was so very lucky to have him. After their meal, Naruto had paid for the food and escorted Tenten out. "I had a very nice time with Naruto-kun," she said, causing him to blush. "I aim to please my most precious person," he said with a voice that just made her melt into his arms like before. After the meal, they had returned to the training grounds, to the place where he asked her that question. She looked up and into his eyes. She had noticed how the moon had brought out his cerulean eyes, making them seem so majestic and trancing. As if she was compelled to kiss him with all her might, trying to enter his mouth with her forcefulness. Naruto had little time to prepare for the kiss, but he had adapted to the situation and wrapped his strong arms around her, kissing her back with equal intensity. His tongue had met hers again, as the last time. They exchange a warm greeting, hugging each other, but at the same time trying to overpower the other for dominance. Breaking away for a gasp of air, their mouths had left each other with a blissfully goodbye. As she looked into his eyes, she had become mesmerized again. Seeing those eyes, as if they could peer into her very soul. He broke the silence, startling her. "So Konoha, how did you enjoy our date?" he said seductively. Her heart had started racing again and blushed more intensely than the last time. She had trouble speaking with him looking as majestic as he did in the moonlight, but she was able to talk. "Like Kibito, it was the best date I ever had. I would not trade this day for anything in the world," she said with a hot blushing face. Both felt that time had stopped for them both, not that they minded. They wanted this moment to last forever. As they broke apart, he gave her one last passionate kiss before he left. "Goodbye my Konoha, see you tomorrow," he said in the low voice she had loved. As she turned around to go home, she noticed that he had appeared next to her. "Kibito, why are you still here?" she wondered. He had a grin on his face, as always, and turned to her. "I just realized that the date isn't over until I walk you home, Konoha," he said with happiness that caused her to blush. She had loved him, and he loved her. Both knowing that tomorrow their friends would come home and the message they would get would send them all over the edge. It was a hot day in Konoha as a certain blonde genin and brunette genin were walking down the road with her arm over his. They were enjoying the scenery and peace of the village despite the stars they were getting from the ninja and citizens of Konoha. Being the latest couple on the streets got both of them a lot of attention. "Man, I feel weird having all these people staring at us," Naruto whispered to his newly appointed girlfriend. She felt the same way he did, but being with him made her relax on his arm as they continued their joyous stroll through the village. She looked at him and stared at his wonderful face. That face that she loved with all her heart, those lips that were only hers to touch, and his heart that he had entrusted to her. She blushed heavily thinking about the day that he had asked her to be his girlfriend. "It's been 3 days since you asked me to be your girlfriend, hasn't it?" she asked, causing the blonde genin to shift his gaze from the road onto her. With that intense look on his face, she couldn't help but blush even more when he responded. "Yep, it has. I am so happy to have you by me, Ten-chan," he said, knowing she would almost form tears in her eyes from the comment. The two genin continued their walk as they had come down to the village gate. They were still attracting a large amount of attention from the villagers. Everyone was whispering about how lucky the blonde was to have a girlfriend. Even most of the genin boys left in the village were showing intense signs of jealousy about the blonde taking the brunette weapons expert. They were still remembering those 2 days before they started dating. Tenten turned red every time she remembered his confession, the confession that she had wanted the whole time, but thought was impossible to get, yet here she was, holding Naruto's arm and already having a date with him. She loved these times with him knowing they wouldn't last long. "You know, Naruto-kun, today is the day," she said with a blush causing him to stare at her. He knew what she was talking about, their friends who had been on their missions were returning home today. They both did not know what to expect from their friends. With a hint of nervousness, Naruto tried to talk. "Why, yeah, it isn't it? I wonder how everyone will react, especially our own squads," he asked, trying not to show his nervousness to no avail. Tenten had noticed how nervous he was, in truth she was nervous too. She had to do something to get them both to calm down a bit. "And Naruto-kun, let's take a detour okay for a bit," she said. The future nodded as they went to a secluded spot away from the eyes of the public. They both leaned against a tree, calming their beating hearts. Over a few minutes their hearts had calmed down from them looking into the sky, wondering about the other. Looking to her left at her blind boyfriend, the brunette leaned over to him. He was still thinking when he felt something on top of his lips. He could feel the wonderful embrace of his Konoha's lips on his. He wasted no time returning her affections with his. His tongue went embracing hers again, both yearning for each other with full force. He could feel her heart beating on top of his as their kiss had turned into a very deep embrace of their lips. Not wanting to tear apart from each other, the blonde wrapped his strong arms around her body, bringing her in closer than she had expected. She was entranced by his strong arms and powerful lips that seemed to overpower hers. She put her hands on his face trying to bring control of the kiss back to her side, but to no avail could she. His big arms that she loved so much were the one thing that probably kept her from winning. She knew her legs were getting numb from the power of his kiss. The feeling was like going to her knees, causing them to go numb. After 10 minutes of that passionate kiss, they separated from each other for a good amount of oxygen. Both were sweating intensely from their passionate moment, looking into each other's eyes. Naruto broke his gaze to look at his watch. He saw that their friends would be here in a few minutes from their mission in Cloud Country. "Hey Ten-chan, we better go, our friends will be here soon," he said, panting from the lasting pleasure from their kiss. Realizing he was right, she nodded. "Why, you're right, Naruto-kun, we had better go, can't wait to see them," she said with a panting voice matching his, remembering the pleasure that nearly made her heart burst. "Okay, let's go back to the village gate," Naruto suggested. Tenten nodded in agreement as they got up to leave. They had arrived at the village gate mere minutes upon seeing shadows coming from the far distance. "Here they come, Ten-chan," he said with a bit of nervousness. "Why yeah, let's be prepared, Naruto-kun," she said with equal nervousness, holding her lover's hand. As the shadows came closer into view they had begun to recognize the people coming. One person had a long ponytail with purple shirt and purple shorts, another came glass and trench coat hiding his mouth, another person appeared with a dog on his head, he wore grey hoodie and black shorts, another came wearing an all-green jumpsuit from his sensei, another with pink hair and a pink kimochi dress covering most of her body. All the genin had appeared one by one along with their senseis who were overjoyed to be home. Upon seeing two of their friends everyone waved until they spotted them holding hands. All the genin ran with full force up to the two lovers. Having arrived in about 2 minutes everyone was dumbfounded at the sight they were seeing, most were silent. One person broke the silence. "Wow, when did my youthful friend start acting like this, huh?" said the overly eccentric green beast of Konoha. Tenten rolled her eyes as Naruto just had a big grin on his face. Everyone was waiting for an answer from the new couple. "About 3 days ago," the blonde responded. Everyone could barely form a sentence. Everyone had questions, but couldn't bring their mouths to ask them. After 30 seconds of silence someone else talked. "Yahoo, alright Naruto, that's my boy," shouted Kiba with a thumbs up. Thank you Kiba," Naruto said, still holding Tenten's hand. She was blushing from all the attention they were receiving. She would have gladly faced the villagers than their friends. Someone turned to Tenten. It was her former love that she had been with for a good few months. "So Tenten, I see you have been busy in our absence," said the now third strongest genin, Niji. "That's right, Naruto-kun is my love," she said with a blush. Everyone was taken back by those words. "Naruto-kun." Everyone responded. Taken back by their response the lovers stepped back. Yeah, Ten-chan is mine," he said, causing more of an uproar. "Ten-chan." Everyone responded again. After everyone quieted down another of the group spoke. Well I am happy for Naruto and Tenten," said the shy dot. She was hiding the fact that she was a little sad. She had loved Naruto-kun also, but she knew now that he was out of her reach. She happily offered him happiness with his new girlfriend. Everyone calmed down after they spoke. "Well Naruto, how far did you get in those 3 days?" said a more than curious flower expert. Both genin blushed intensely at the question. They hadn't gone to anything other than passionate kissing, but they had always wondered about it. Another genin spoke looking at Ino. "Man Ino, you're so troublesome, what kind of question is that?" said the lazy genius. He was taken back by the sight too, but recovered much faster than everyone else. Another genin had responded, assisting Shikamaru. "He's right. You shouldn't ask personal questions like that," said the chubby genin munching on some potato chips. Appearing out of nowhere the sensei had caught up to the genin. "Wow, that's the spirit of youth, nice job Naruto, Tenten," said the eternal rival of Kakashi. The genin blushed again saying their thanks. The other sensei came into the conversation too. "So Naruto is a big boy now," said Kakashi with an icha book in his hands. Well Naruto, Tenten, I never expected this from you too," said the master, Kurenai. "They have reached that all-important stage in life after all, haha," said the sensei who had a cigarette in his mouth. With everyone's comments the couple was so happy they got into their relationship. They had the urge to kiss to give a show and gave each other a big kiss. "Wow, oh my, are they really, how troublesome, Yahoo go Naruto," shouted various comments from the group of genin. Deciding to leave the new couple alone the sensei had faced their genin. "Okay everyone, let's let the new couple alone, we must report our mission," said the sensei. The genin complied and ran off to the Hokage tower to finish their mission and come back to the couple later. Everyone left except one genin. "Naruto, Tenten, I hope the both of you will be very happy together," said the pink kimochi. Giving her their thanks, she ran off to join the group. "Well, that wasn't so bad was it Ten-chan," said the blonde genin. "No Naruto-kun, I guess not," said the brunette. Looking into each other's eyes, they held a deep passionate kiss into each other's lips. Coming apart they had decided to take a mission themselves. "Well Konoha, shall we request a mission tomorrow?" said Naruto. Looking at him with a smile on her face she responded. "Why yes Kibito, let's take a mission together," said Tenten with a beautiful smile. Parting from each other to go home seeing as how they were in the late afternoon. They went home. Each whispering to the other as they left. "Goodbye, my Konoha," said Naruto. "Goodbye, my Kibito," said Tenten. They go to request a mission tomorrow. It was a bright and early morning in Konoha as people from the village had just started waking up. Meanwhile, a blonde genin was sleeping soundly only to be woken up by the sweet sound of the birds chirping. "Yawn, good day for a mission," the blonde genin said with a big grin. He wasn't grinning from the thought of going on a mission, he was grinning because of the person going with him. His beloved brunette Kinoichi had agreed with him to go on a mission today. Happily getting up to get dressed, he rushed to get on his orange jumpsuit. Okay, everything is in place, nothing is missing, Yasha, let's go, he said, running out the door. With a few of the villagers saying their hellos to him, he ran to the Hokage mansion. He was at the entrance greeted by two of the guardian ninjas. They looked at him with a big smile on their faces. Knowing what they were thinking, he shot them a nod of agreement and ran upstairs to meet the fifth about a mission. Good morning, Tsunade-bachan, Naruto said, coming in quietly so as not to disturb her work. He remembered the last time he ran into her office yelling with a big grin on his face. The fifth had a terrible headache that day, and wanting silence, she shot Naruto out of the mansion and into the training fields. It took him about 5 weeks to recover from the attack, even with Kyuubi's help. So, as not to come to that same outcome again, he had been more cautious. Oh hello Naruto, good morning to you, Tsunade said with a big grin, happy that he had come in quietly knowing his lesson from the last time. She had known about her grandson's little exploit in the village and could only laugh when she heard the news. Glad that he had found someone with whom he could be happy, she continued the conversation. So what brings the lover of Tenten here, she said with a big grin. Naruto now knew that she had known about them for a while. He had not tried to keep it a secret, but he thought at least he would be able to tell her. He was a little disappointed to find out that she already knew. Instead of asking how she knew, he stared at her only to see that she had given him her blessing. He had tried to hide the blush after her snarky comment, but she had long since noticed it. Not intending to take any more of her time, he got straight to the point. So Bachan is Tenten. She said we would go on a mission later today, he said with a look of confusion, wondering where his lover was. Noticing his look of concern, she had told him that she had assigned Tenten to a mission already and she had left about 45 minutes ago. She told him how Tenten had explained to her that she already had her schedule planned for a mission with Naruto, but it was a mission that she couldn't get out of. Him looking surprised and a bit disappointed, he had his head down. Oh okay, I see, thank you for telling me Bachan, see you later, he said with a saddened face as he went out the door. He was walking down the stairs to where the two guardians had seen him. Seeing him with a sad face, they wondered what had happened in the Hokage harem. They decided to give Naruto his space. Walking down the street sulking, he stopped at Ichiraku. Apparently he had forgotten to eat any breakfast because he was in such a hurry. Ordering the usual, Naruto had his BBQ pork ramen. "Itadakimasu," he said with a pained grin on his face. Noticing their favorite customer's expression, the father and daughter ramen makers wanted to know what was wrong. He smiled calmly, telling them he was okay, but was into too much deep thought for once. Eating his bowl of ramen, Naruto paid them for his food and left. He didn't have much of an appetite today because of the news he got earlier. Shocked that their favorite customer wasn't eating like he normally was, they couldn't bear to take the money and said it was in the house. Thanking that, he left. Okay, since Tenchan is gone, what will I do with my time? He pondered. Before getting together with Tenten, Naruto had just been doing missions to pass the time for himself. All the missions were taken, so he didn't have anything to do. An ache came to his heart as he thought that Tenten must not have wanted to go on a mission with him because he was starting to annoy her. He had walked through the village with nothing to do. A certain ninja came across the young blonde and ran up to him. "Hey Naruto, how you doing man?" said the spiky-haired lazy genius. Naruto had noticed that Shikamaru had nothing to do either. "Hey Shika, not so good," said the bond with a sad grin. Seeing the grin, Shikamaru had thought to himself about what he was getting into. He pondered for a while and decided that since it was for Naruto he would do it. "You want to talk about it?" he asked, trying to get the blonde in a better mood. Looking at Shikamaru, he knew he found a way to pass the time. Okay, thank you Shikamaru," said Naruto with a small smile on his face. Seeing the smile made the genius a little happier. "Man, this talk is going to be troublesome," he said, thinking to himself. He had liked to talk a lot, but he knew he couldn't leave Naruto the way he had decided to make this an exception. Naruto told Shikamaru the most shocking suggestion. "Okay, let's talk, but I'm bored if I try some of this that you and Asuma-sensei keep talking about," he asked with a slight happy grin. Shikamaru was shocked. For Naruto to suggest an intellectual game instead of being the big bronze over brains fighter that he was. He calmly replied. "I'm sure I don't mind, let's go back to my house," he said, motioning Naruto to follow him. After 45 minutes of walking, Shikamaru began to understand why Naruto was depressed. He now knew that Tenten had promised a mission with Naruto, but she had already gone on one before he got to the Hokage mansion. "Is that all you're depressed over?" Shikamaru said to Naruto. Shikamaru knew that Naruto loves Tenten, but to be depressed about it was totally new to him. Well, think about it Shikamaru, I love Tenten just as much if not more than you love Temari," he said. Shikamaru blushed heavily at the outlandish statement Naruto had made to him. "Ibaka, like anyone would miss the deadly wind girl," he said, causing Naruto to smile and roll his eyes. "Shikamaru, whatever you say," Naruto smiled. After another 10 minutes they arrived at Shikamaru's house. Naruto made himself comfortable while Shikamaru got the shogi board. Placing the board on the floor, they started to play. Naruto didn't know anything about shogi, but he tried his hand at it. After 10 minutes, Naruto lost. After 20 minutes he lost again. Placing the board again, after 40 minutes he lost again. Shikamaru was surprised that even though they played only 3 games in the past hour, he noticed that Naruto was getting better at the game. He was having a much longer difficulty each game period than he did. Naruto was actually trying to outthink Shikamaru. It had worked a few times, but he had lost all the same. After it was late in the evening, Naruto decided to go. "Well, Shikamaru, I am going to go, looks like you are still the king of shogi," Naruto said with a smirk. "Well, I'll try anyway later, Naruto." As Naruto left, Shikamaru went over the board. He spotted something incredible, something he could not have foreseen even with his 200 IQ. He noticed that if they had kept playing, Naruto would have had Shikamaru concerned, and he would have lost. "Wow, I am so glad he didn't notice that, you really are a troublemaker even for geniuses," he said with a happy grin. "Okay, I guess I will go and take a nap," Shikamaru said, going somewhere quiet. Before Naruto knew, it was already dark. Tenten had not come back and he decided to go home. "Well, I hope you come home tomorrow, then Ten-chan," he said with a slightly sad grin. As he entered his door, he had gotten ready for bed, put on his pajamas, and went to sleep. He had a long day of playing shogi and had a headache. I guess thinking really isn't my thing," Naruto said, not knowing how wrong he was. Well into the night, he heard a banging on his door. A bit irritated, he got up to see who it was. Not wanting to have his sleep disturbed, he answered the door. "Hello," he said with a yawn. His eyes suddenly shot open to a person hugging him so much he couldn't breathe. "Naruto-kun, I missed you so much, I just had to see you," said the mysterious figure. His eyes adjusting to the light, he noticed a girl with rounded woven hair and a giant weapon scroll. He knew who it was just by the look of the hair. He was overjoyed to say the least. "Ten-chan," he said with utter excitement. Placing her hand on his lips, she moved in closer to him, kissing him with a fierce intensity that neither had known. "Naruto-kun, I missed you so much," she said, trying to talk and kiss at the same time. He returned her affection with a more intense passion. His tongue had penetrated her mouth, showing how much he had missed her. Stopping the kiss for air, he asked, "I thought you were going to be gone for 3 days. He asked with a look of happiness and confusion. "I was supposed to, but I rushed our time to finish today so I could see you," she said with tears of happiness in her ears. "You're not mad at me for missing our mission, are you, Kibito?" she asked with a sad face and tears. Knowing he couldn't be mad at his lover, he wiped the tears from her eyes and took her into his embrace and gave her a deep kiss that seemed to shake her entire body. His tongue had greeted hers along with the exchange of fluids that happened during their embrace. Even with the sudden need for air, the two couldn't bring themselves to keep apart from each other. Though the need was great, they both persevered through their kiss as they knew that they were making each other feel good. When the need was too great, they parted from each other. Naruto then told her in her ears. "There is no way I can stay mad at my Konoha," he said, causing her to blush with a few tears. She had loved him so much she didn't want to lose him to anything. "Thank you, Kibito, your love is my greatest treasure," she said. He looked in her eyes and smiled. "And your heart and love are my greatest treasures, Konoha," he said. Knowing she had to go, he let her leave, knowing that tomorrow they would go on their mission. He sent her away with one final deep kiss before she left to go home. "See you tomorrow at the Hokage mansion, Konoha," he said as she left. He went back into his house, though now he was unable to sleep due to the sheer happiness of the situation. "See you tomorrow at the Hokage mansion, Kibito," she said as she went home. She was happy to still have his love, knowing how much he missed her only made her love for him stronger than it had already been. She got home and went straight to sleep from the long journey back. After a few minutes, both were sound asleep. Tomorrow would be their mission. On another beautiful day in Konoha, a blonde was walking down the street with another grin on his face. He was happy because he had received a call from his girlfriend saying that she didn't have any required missions and would be able to go on a mission with him. He was so excited to be able to spend time with his Konoha that he hadn't noticed he was already in front of the Hokage mansion. "Whoa, man, how time flies when you're thinking about the one you love," he thought. Not wasting any time, he ran upstairs to meet with the Hokage about their first mission together. As he opened the door, he spotted his brunette in the corner happily waiting for him. His heart had sped up at the sight of her. Even though she was in her regular clothes, she had an aura of pure cuteness around her. He couldn't take his eyes off her until the Hokage had snapped him out of his gaze at her. Naruto, is there something I can do for you and Tenten?" she asked with a slightly annoyed look on her face. Naruto had noticed the expression on her face and had a slight bit of fear on his face. He was already on the end of Tsunade's rope of patience, and before she told them to get out, he had continued the conversation. "Oh, sorry, Ba-chan, Ten-chan, and I would like to request a mission from you," he asked with the utmost confidence. Always liking the confidence he had stored inside him, she couldn't resist the urge to say no to his request. She knew that this would be their first mission together and had decided on a good mission for them both. Look at Naruto, then at Tenten, and back at Naruto, she gave her reply. I see, okay, I'll give you a mission, she said with a big smile on her face. Leaping for joy, Naruto rushed to Tenten and hugged her with a good amount of passion. Feeling the blush go to her cheeks from his strong embrace, Tenten would have nearly lost her composure if not for the goddamn Hokage telling him to quiet down. Wow, that was close, she said, clinging onto her chest. She had known Naruto was getting stronger, but she realized that his strength was enough to make her blush. Whether or not they would have taken the next step was solely on her. She knew Naruto would never force her into anything she didn't like, and that was one of the many things she loved about him. Being knocked out of her gaze by the conversation between the two, she put her eyes back on the conversation. So Ba-chan, what mission are we getting, Naruto, as in sheer excitement. Noticing this, the Hokage spent no time telling him the details. You will get an escort mission along with 2 other people, she proclaimed to him. He was happy getting a mission, but a little disappointed that it was just him and Tenten. He put the thought at the back of his head. He realized, as long as she was with him, he could care less about whoever was with them. Okay, you have your mission, report to the front gate at 4 p.m, she stated. Naruto and Tenten knew they had 2 hours to get ready and decided to take their leave. Walking down the street, they decided to part ways in order to get ready. Naruto packs all his necessary scrolls and ninja equipment while Tenten was sealing weapons into her scrolls. She was able to store vast amounts of weaponry in her scrolls. No one was a bigger weapons fan than her. After an hour of rest, the two decided to walk out the door to the front gate. Arriving at the gate last, Naruto noticed the sensei joining them was Asuma and the other genin was the hound boy, Kiba. Hey Kiba, hey Asuma-sensei, hey Ten-chan, he said, causing everyone to turn to their blonde teammate. Hey Naruto, said the dog boy with a big grin on his face. Oh, here come the loudest genin, said the bearded jounin will smoke his favorite pack of cigarettes. Oh Whisker boy, you're here, said his brunette lover. He smiled at the new nickname she gave him. Trying to come up with a good name for her, he said the first thing that came to his mind. Oh come on weapons girl, you know I would be here, he said. That nickname sent a blush to her cheeks. She was happy to be given a name associated with weapons and even happier that it came from Naruto. Thank you for the nickname, she said, giving him a quick kiss to the lips. She shocked everyone with her action, including Naruto, not that he was complaining. Oh come on you guys, can't you go one day without that, Kiba said, trying not to feel shaken by the action. Asuma stayed silent. He knew he would get an earful from Tenten if he interfered. After 5 minutes of waiting, their client had arrived. He was a man in his teens, about 2 years from Naruto and 1 year from Tenten. He looked like a total playboy. He noticed the brunette and ran at a great speed to reach her. Taking her hand, he started a conversation. Ah, what a lovely woman, who am I to be in the presence of such beauty, the playboy said, kissing her hand. Naruto's happy smile had turned into an evil face. He wanted to lay the guy flat on his back for even touching Tenten, but he knew that a ninja must not reveal emotions easily, so he gritted his teeth back and forth and tried to let it go. Feeling disgusted by his actions, Tenten removed her hand and tried to talk politely. Thank you, sir, for your compliment, she said with a smile on her face, hiding the kunai that was behind her. She was using every strain of patience to keep from sending the kunai through his head. After the conversation, Tenten turned to look at her lover. She noticed he had an aura of killing intent around him for touching his lover. She felt happy that her lover had kept his cool, but happy also that he wanted to kill the client just like her. To Tenten's misunderstanding, Naruto not only wanted to kill the client, but completely leave no trace of his existence in the world of the ninjas. Noticing this, Tenten walked up to him and whispered in his ear. Don't worry Kibito, I would never betray you for an idiot like that or for anyone else, she said, causing the killing intent in him to lessen a little, but not completely. I know my Konoha, but I almost couldn't take it, he whispered in her ear. Her knowing that he wanted to protect her to such a great length as to endanger the mission, and the client made her heart catch on fire from his passion for her. Knowing he was the one for her, she whispered in his ear the deal of both their lives. Kibito, if you can keep your patience with this man until the end, I will give you, she whispered in his ear. His cheeks lit up in flames at the suggestion that she had made. He had never done it before, and neither had she. She had decided he would be her first, and hopefully he only. KKK Konoha, are you serious? He asked with his cheeks still fire engine red. Yep, my Kibito will have me at the end of this mission and then return to the village, she said happily. His mouth had dropped to the ground as all the images ran into his head. The look of an erotic Tenten with him on his bed was more than he could take and nearly fainted, but was able to keep his composure enough to respond. Okay, my Konoha, I will put up with him, I promise, he said happily. After their conversation, the group headed out. During the long journey, the limits of Naruto's patience were coming into play. He had noticed that the playboy had put his hands around Tenten and then later tried to put his hands on her butt. Noticing Naruto's reactions to the sight, Kiba and Asuma motioned for Naruto to help them with the front. Both were trying to get Naruto away from the sight. "See, come on Naruto, don't get mad man, it is okay," Kiba said, trying to cool the rage in Naruto. Asuma attempted to do the same. "Yeah, Naruto just hung in there," said the jounin. Naruto was trying to calm down but felt the patience leaving him. "It's okay guys, it's okay, I am under control of myself," Naruto said, shaking from the feeling of anger inside him. His anger went past the boiling point when he turned back and saw the playboy trying to kiss Tenten. His rage had climaxed until he pulled out a kunai and threw it between them. Seeing the kunai, Tenten dodged and at the kunai hit a tree behind them. "Hey kid, what is your problem? Leave me and the cute brunette alone," said the playboy. Naruto was about to react when a rogue ninja came out of the bushes to attack. Seeing that excuse, Naruto ran behind them to fight the ninja, motioning everyone to go ahead. As Naruto ended the fight easily with the ninja, he sped up to the group again and back to his post position in the front. He then turned his head to the playboy, letting out a little of the rage that was inside him. "That's why I threw the kunai, you women player," Naruto said, knocking the playboy down a peg. After 16 hours of walking, the ninja had arrived at their destination. The young playboy was greeted by many women for his looks. Personally, Tenten was disgusted by him. She knew Naruto was the only one for her. To have another man touch her body was almost more than she could bear. In truth, if Naruto hadn't thrown that kunai, she would have driven one into the playboy's throat. As they arrived at the destination, they were greeted by some councilmen who thanked them for their services. Appreciating the thanks, the ninjas decided to sleep in the town for the night. The playboy, however, was not through with Tenten. As she was ready to go to sleep, he knocked on her door. "Hey pretty lady, mind taking a walk with me?" he said with confidence. Knowing Naruto would see her nodded in agreement, she went off with him. As she suspected, Naruto had noticed and followed them. He noticed them sitting behind a tree as they were talking. The boy was talking about his life and asked about her life. Naruto was blinded by anger, but not enough to go just yet. As he left the story, the playboy tried to kiss her again. She had it for the last time and got up to leave. The playboy had forced himself upon her, kissing her all over her body. "You know you can't resist me, just giving you bitch," he said with arrogance. Trying to get him off her, she screamed. "Help Naruto-kun, help me," she screamed as the playboy finally got a kiss on her. As if on cue, Naruto picked the man up off of her and threw him at a tree. The playboy looked up to see a blonde genin with the biggest killing intent he had ever seen. He now knew that he had stepped on the landmine known as Uzumaki Naruto. You dare touch her, kiss her, and try to force yourself on her," Naruto said in blinded anger. The playboy got up to apologize, not really meaning it, knowing that the genin would not hurt him. He was dead wrong. "Not in your life am I going to forgive you," Naruto said using some hand signs. "Age Bunsha no," he said, as 500 clones suddenly appeared. Before he went through with it, he turned to Tenten. "Hey Ten-chan, our job of protecting him is done right," he said with a mad grin. "Yes Naruto-kun, it is over," she said with a happy grin, knowing what would befall the playboy. "But then," Naruto said, as all his clones rushed at the playboy. They all unleashed an infinite number of punches and kicks on him. The playboy screamed as he got beat. After 45 minutes of a beating, Naruto stops to see a face that looked like it had plastic surgery done to it, and not in a good way. Tenten, happy with the result, went to Naruto and left the misshapen teen on the ground out cold. "So Kibito, you feel better now?" she asked Will in his arms. "Yeah, much better Konoha, no one is touching you like that again except me," he said. "That's right, I am yours and yours alone," she said to him. "So do I pass our deal?" he said with a grin. "Yes you do Kibito, I will be yours in a few days," she said in his ear, causing him to blush heavily. "I will treat you nice," he said, making her blush too. They walked back to their rooms, eager to sleep and return to their beloved village. "I will love you forever Konoha," he said to her. "And my heart is forever yours Kibito," she said to him. Tomorrow they returned to the village. Having completed their first mission together would be engraved in their hearts. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.